Tonight on Border Security, a South American pensioner becomes the focus of a large-scale search.
We believe you have committed an offence.
They were just about to let this man go. Then they discovered something deliberately hidden.
Okay, we've just found something which appears to be concealed.
And after years of
Can you
searching,
get the van over here ASAP, please? We've got one. Can I just ask you to step out of the vehicle?
as immigration finally got their man. Every day, people try to smuggle drugs into the country. Some think it's just a game, a small amount of pot or a gram of coke. But for others, it's a multi-million-dollar business.
Speak English? No English? Ja, ¿qué pasa? No.
The passenger has just come in off the flight from Hong Kong. He says he's here for 3 days. We're a little concerned because it seems unusual for someone to come all that way for 3 days.
You can see a normal bag will be sort of clear, right? This one here, you can see it's loaded with packages throughout the bag.
The officers are suspicious of the passenger and his luggage. Things just aren't weighing up.
What's his status? He's a citizen. Okay.
Immigration compliance officers are performing a vehicle
Citizen.
check with the focus on taxi and shuttle bus drivers, trying to identify illegal workers.
I'm just going to call for the van to come over. What nationality?
Ukrainian?
Yeah, Raj, can you get the van over here ASAP, please? We've got one. Okay, thanks.
Every week, the Immigration Compliance Unit does operations like this.
Driver of the shuttle bus just over here has been identified as holding a bridging visa-e, which is basically no work. So I'll just wait for the van to get around because it's a busy roadway area. I don't want to sort of pull him out of the van and have him hanging around loosely. He may decide I might try a bolt or something like that. It's not really a good area for that. Here comes our van now. I'll get him to pull the van in and we'll approach him. Can I get you to accompany me, please?
This gentleman here would like to talk to you for a few minutes.
How are you, sir? Can I just ask you to step out of the vehicle for me, please? Just need to have a bit of a chat with you. Just over onto the curbside here for me, thanks. Okay, just walk down this way, thank you.
This passenger arrived from Hong Kong, and customs officers are checking his overweight suitcase.
Yeah, seen the image. Yeah, it looks like there's something concealed on the side, but something organic may not be drugs. We just suspect that at the moment. The dog can confirm that, and so can our own scan machine potentially. And the gentleman doesn't speak any English, so we're going to try and get an interpreter.
Doing the line scanner.
The ion scan is able to detect the smallest particle of a narcotic substance. However, it has failed to detect any trace.
Came up negative in the line scanner. Get the dogs to
The
do
X-ray
it.
was pretty positive.
Oh, yeah.
With those images on the X-ray, the officers want to make sure that they haven't missed anything.
Yeah, we believe there may be some drugs in the side of this suitcase. We're now going to run one of our dogs on it to see if they get a reaction from it as well, and we'll probably do some other tests.
With a nose over 100 times more sensitive than humans, these drug detector dogs are trained to react if the bag has been in contact with narcotics. Immigration compliance officers have just caught Oli red-handed. He's driving a shuttle bus with a visa that does not allow him to work here.
How long have you been driving the shuttle bus for, sir? 1 year? Okay. Just need to have a chat to you about your work. Just take a seat for me, please, sir. No. In the front. In the front, Raj. Can you tell me what sort of visa you have?
I see.
Do you know what the conditions on that visa are, sir?
Condition?
Sorry?
Sorry?
Can you tell me what the conditions on your visa are?
It's okay.
Do you understand what I'm actually saying to you? Yeah, you understand me okay? According to our records, sir, the bridging visa that you hold is subject to condition 8101. Now, in short, that condition says that you must not work in Australia. Quite clearly, as you've just admitted to me, and as we've observed you, you are working. At this point in time, you will have to remain here. You understand everything I've just explained to you?
Friday morning at Sydney Airport. This is the busiest time of the week for quarantine. Flights from 20 countries will arrive before noon. Over at X-Ray 1, they're processing passengers who are considered high risk for bringing prohibited goods into the country.
When this gentleman came through, he was asked what he had because he's ticked yes to the card, which is in his own language. Basically, all he told us he had was noodles, and the X-ray showed up the eggs, as well as some of the other things like bark, which is also a prohibited item, as well as some fresh ginger root, which is also prohibited and also very high risk.
But it's the eggs which are of most concern.
They're actual duck eggs. These are duck eggs, they're preserved. At the moment, they're a very high risk item because there's an avian influenza bird flu, and the country it's coming from is China, where the actual bird flu is, and that's where it's the most virulent at the moment, so it's very important that we obviously get these.
Because it's his first time in Australia, Stephen's inclined to go easy.
Tina, can you just explain to the gentleman why we can't bring the eggs in and the ginger?
Meanwhile, just outside the terminal, the Immigration Compliance Unit has just detained a Ukrainian man suspected of working illegally.
Okay, this gentleman holds a visa to be in Australia lawfully, however the visa is subject to a strict no work condition. He's obviously been located here today driving a shuttle bus. He's admitted to me he has been driving that shuttle bus for the company for the past year or so. So that would apparently put him in breach of the no work condition. We will now move on to interviewing him regarding the possible cancellation of his visa. If at the end of the interview the visa is not cancelled, he will be allowed to go on his way. If, however, we find that he has breached his visa conditions substantially and the visa is cancelled, we would then have to move on to considering whether or not to either detain him and take him to Villawood.
Just the eggs.
This Chinese passenger has arrived with undeclared food. Quarantine's role is as much about education as it is enforcement. So this time, officers are considering waiving the fine.
His English is quite poor, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt for it, and he has ticked the yes, so I'm just explaining him why he can't have it.
I can do that for you.
Okay.
He was nearly on his way, with just a warning. That is, until officers found something else in his bag.
Okay, we've just found something which appears to be concealed. So could you ask the gentleman what it would actually be?
It's not drugs, but it's illegal and can be very destructive.
Okay, so what we have here is just looks like bok choy or one of the Chinese stir-fry vegetables. Just looking at it straight away, I can tell you that they're not allowed in. Okay, so have you asked the gentleman why it was purchased here?
He explained to you that the quilt was packed by his brother.
If it was packed by his brother, I don't understand why he would need to actually package it right inside the thing. To me, personally, I believe it to be more likely to be a concealment, and I think that it would probably warrant a quarantine infringement for it, personally. For not declaring certain items.
This passenger has just flown into Sydney from Hong Kong. However, at the moment, he is probably wishing that he missed his flight.
The dogs that ran on the bag are very new dogs, but they all gave an indication that there was something in there.
Good boy, Levi. Good dog.
Time is running out as the officer decides to involve the Australian Federal Police.
We've got a guy this morning, and looks like he's got a loaded bag, a couple of kilos in the size of his bags.
Yeah, we don't know what the narcotic is at the moment, but it's an obvious large amount, and the street value will be very large. He's stated he's a pensioner, so he obviously doesn't have much money himself, and he seems to have been recruited off the street, if anything. A lot of couriers are recruited who need money, either because of gambling debts or because they don't have money, and they're quite vulnerable to being picked up as couriers. And just frisk him with the Spanish frisk card, and then after you frisk him, there's nothing there. Then we'll take him out of an interview room from there. We'll get AFP to get an interpreter.
We're going to conduct a frisk to look for, again, any further possible concealments of narcotics and any contact details or addresses that he might have on him. Need you to read both sides of this card. Here or in room? You. Search.
With this gentleman here, he doesn't speak any English, so what we're trying to do is get an interpreter so he fully understands his rights before we question him about what we suspect is narcotics in his baggage.
I'm going to caution the gentleman and you say it in Spanish, whatever I say. We believe you have committed an offence.
Él cree que has cometido un error aquí, entrando.
By importing narcotics.
Importando droga.
You do not have to say or do anything.
With all the evidence pointing to a narcotic concealment in his bag, this passenger's day is about to get a whole lot worse. Ukrainian national Oli arrived in Australia 5 years ago on a 7-week temporary visa. He didn't leave when that period expired and has now been caught working illegally.
It's very problem to visit Australia. I went for visa. It's 4.5 years. It's nothing. Immigration told me more. That's it. Enough for me enough.
For Oli and the many like him, being caught by immigration is not really a case of if, but more like when.
Obviously, knowing that he has breached that visa condition, he would anticipate that we are going to be interviewing him with regards to cancellation for that visa. So obviously he wouldn't be feeling very good at the moment. He'd be distressed, he'd be upset, yes, absolutely.
As news travels of Oli's detention, a co-worker comes out to the airport to comfort him.
He's a good person. I think he was expecting this day to come. I'm just very surprised with Australian government and their immigration policies. She deserves a chance to live in peace and have their family next to them. And that's what he was trying to achieve for 5 years. He applied for visa for 3 times, I think, and he's been refused every single time. With his qualifications, he's a doctor. And I thought that Australia needs good employers.
Meanwhile, in customs, it's well over an hour since this man's plane landed, and in that time, literally thousands of people have been cleared to cross the border. This passenger, however, is still being searched.
We're going to get him frisked, make sure he's got nothing else on his body. We're doing a couple of tests to try and get an indication of what is in there. We believe it's a powder, just by the images on the X-ray itself show that it is a powder, but whether it's heroin or cocaine, we're still to determine. There appears to be a concealment in both sides of the bag. As you can see, there's quite a number of cracks in the concealment, which would suggest to us that it's actually powder that's fallen away from the actual baggage or the packaging that's within that baggage. Because we've got this concealment here, we'll take this to a tool room and we'll put a small gimlet in the concealment to extract a small amount of the powder, and we'll test to see what it is. We're not getting any reaction from one of our other tests, but this will give us a good indication of what the powder is.
It's now just a matter of brute strength to find out if customs suspicions are right. Over in quarantine, officers are confiscating a large amount of food from this passenger.
The more we look, the more we find with this guy, and he knows what he's doing. He's concealed these things. You don't automatically pack your seeds and things inside your bags and hide them for no reason. People do strange things. It's if you wrote a book about the weird things people do, no one would believe you. They put it in the fiction section, but they do it.
但是没有任何的记录，就是跟违例派车一样，好吗 ？Okay. After I explained to him the situation, I explained to him what he has done wrong, and he was really very happy to cooperate. And he did apologize to us, and he was very happy to pay the fine, and he will not do it again.
The passenger was fined $220. That's an expensive way to start your holiday. Ollie has been taken to an office for a formal interview. This is his last stand.
If his visa is cancelled and he may go into detention, how would that impact upon him? What hardship would he suffer as a result of that visa cancellation?
Ollie has all but given up. The last 5 years without his family have been too emotionally draining. He misses his wife and his 10-year-old daughter, and now he just wants to go home.
All right, I'm just giving Ollie a couple of minutes to think over his responses. He is missing his family, and ultimately I think his wish is that they could come out here to Australia in order to be reunited with him, but at the moment they are not sufficient grounds. The hardship he believes he would suffer as a result of visa cancellation, and if he does go into Villawood, is that he would lose hope of his family being able to come out here and join him, as he would feel that that would be the end of that hope for him and he would have to return home. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. Can you please notify Ollie that I have decided to cancel his visa. He will be taken to Villawood Immigration Detention Centre later this afternoon.
It could be the longest drive in Ollie's life. A 40-minute trip from Sydney's domestic airport out to Villawood Detention Centre. After years of dodging the Immigration Compliance Unit, Ollie's plight is over.
Okay, Ollie, how are we doing? Just want to grab your bag for me, please, mate? Okay. Just come through this way for us, okay? Okay, just pop your bag down over there for us. Okay. Ollie, can I just get you to step over here for me for a moment? I'm going to ask you if you'd like to sign this. What this is, it's an information pack on your rights whilst you're in detention. 2005. Okay, now whilst you are in detention, I'll just draw your attention, it's going to cost you $125 per day whilst you're in detention. That does not include the first day nor the last day of your detention, but every other day in between. Okay, if you don't pay that, it will become a Commonwealth debt, and you wouldn't be able to be granted a visa or return to Australia until such time as you pay that off in full. That's for you to read. Okay, I'll keep hold of this one. I think he's relieved. The impression I got very, very strongly was that he's very relieved that he knows or has a clearer idea on where his future is going to be heading in the immediate future, rather than maybe a sense of apprehension or uncertainty. So I think he is relieved, yes. I think everyone would sort of agree that it's probably more comfortable to spend your last few days in any country outside of detention or in a sense of freedom. I mean, certainly he'll be well looked after, but I think anybody would choose as an option not being in a detention centre.
Very happy. Of course not. No, of course not.
During the interview with me regarding the cancellation of his visa, he did indicate that he might even possibly be better off in detention. His reasons were that he'd been sleeping in the rear of the vehicle that we actually located him working in.
Well, yeah, sometimes sleeping in my bus. Sometimes bus, sometimes friends.
I know he's missing his family. It's quite unusual that the person will actually say to us, I think I'd actually be better off in detention rather than out of detention.
Oli chose not to follow up any further court action in relation to him staying in Australia and was flown back to the Ukraine the following week.
Australia, very good country, nice country.
Tonight on Border Security, this man wants to experience the heart and soul of this country.
I'm not going back to the United States.
But immigration may have other plans. Whatever this passenger's brought in has quarantine completely baffled.
I have no idea what this is. Have you ever seen this before?
And officers continue to search inside this pensioner's suitcase. It's not just drugs that customs officers are on the lookout for. Counterfeit goods are brought into the country every day, threatening the profits of legitimate businesses both here and overseas. And it's up to customs to help stop this illegal trade.
You pack them yourself?
In Melbourne, Mr. Dong Wei has just returned from a business trip to China with a bag full of brand name goods.
These all yours?
Yeah.
Yes. Louis Vuitton shoes. Are these real or fake?
Yeah, LV.
Real?
Real.
Louis Vuitton. How much?
How much? 5,000 renminbi. 5,000 renminbi.
How much Australian?
That's LV.
How many sunglasses you have? How much sunglasses you have?
Sunglasses? How much?
How many?
How many? 5 or 6. Or 6. 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
4. I forget.
Now, of course, owning some sunglasses and a few pairs of shoes isn't a crime, unless they're fake and you intend to sell them for a profit.
Well, global trade in counterfeit goods at the moment is about 6% of world trade and is worth about $450 billion US. Most of that money goes towards organised crime. We have to stop it. It's a really big problem. It's costing Australian jobs. People are losing businesses because of the counterfeit goods.
And if the goods are real, then there might be unpaid duty to collect. And on luxury items like these, that could be thousands of dollars. Richard has just flown in from San Francisco, and you could say that he has come in on a song and a prayer.
Well, they tell me I have to have money to come into the country, and I don't have a dime on me.
Richard was referred to immigration by the customs primary line officer after he had declared his financial status nil.
I'll just ask a few questions, basically. The purpose of this interview is to find out the purpose and details of your travel to Australia. So you mentioned to me that you had not even a penny on you at the moment.
That's correct. I don't have a dime on me.
Okay. And you don't even have credit cards on you?
No.
What made you come to Australia?
Let's see here. A wild hare, drifting in the wind, new life, new adventure. I'm just out looking for adventure.
Although Richard's notions are romantic, they are not helping his cause.
How did you think you would be able to support yourself?
You know, I think, I'm a good person at heart, and good people have a tendency to run into other good people, and I can't tell you until I go out there and find out.
But you need money to live, basically, here.
Last week we met this man, a Spanish passenger suspected of carrying drugs.
We believe you have committed an offence.
X-rays indicate something organic inside his suitcase. But so far, officers have found nothing. However, with the sniffer dog giving a positive reaction, officers are now very interested in taking his overweight suitcase for a much closer examination.
Because we've got this concealment here, we'll take this to a tool room and we'll put a small gimlet in the concealment to extract a small amount of the powder, and we'll test to see what it is.
Right now, it's not looking good for him. Richard has arrived from San Francisco with no money and very little clothing.
You mentioned that you had other talents to offer and things. So what do you mean by that?
Well, let's go have a cup of coffee and we'll talk about it.
Unfortunately, I can't do that. I'm sorry. You can just explain to me, what do you mean by, what talents do you have to offer?
Let's see. I feel like you're trying to get me into this work trap again, and I have to tell you, I'm not here to work.
That's
I'm
right.
just here to meet.
No, I'm not trapping you into any kind of saying that you're here to work. But I'm saying, you mentioned that you have talents. So you just explain to me,
Okay.
what kind of talents?
I dance, I sing, I play instruments, I fly airplanes.
Okay, and also you did mention to me that you're carrying a harmonica, which you intend to play.
Yeah.
And is that like busking?
No, you're misunderstanding me. That I'm not interested in money.
Okay. For me to be satisfied that you are a visitor, basically you need to have at least enough to show me that you're able to feed yourself, not be on the streets.
How much? Oh, I need an X dollar amount.
It just depends. I mean, I can't set an amount for you. I mean, even a backpacker's hotel, it probably will cost you about $50, $60 per day. You can't sleep out on the street.
Oh, I wasn't intending to sleep on the
Yeah.
street. I'm a survivalist, and
Yeah.
I love to backpack and hike and camp out in the woods,
Yeah.
and I'm.
But you don't have much there along with you to do camping.
Have you ever heard of foraging before? Are you a survivalist? Have you ever done much camping?
Richard's foraging idea has set Sunita's alarm bells ringing.
Yeah, he says that, have you ever survived? Have you gone out camping? But even if you go out camping, he doesn't have much there. He's got to eat. And he hasn't got, in his pockets, all he had was his social security card. Somebody can't just get up and leave. So let's go on a holiday because Australia is nice and Australian people are nice. And kind of, I'm suspicious about his reasons.
Dampier, northwest Australia is home to one of our busiest seaports. Every year, almost 1,000 bulk ships come into port to collect their cargo of iron or salt and liquid gas. Customs checks each and every passport that comes through. For the customs officers boarding this vessel, a routine inspection can go either way. On this ship, a few of the passports have caught Officer Kayleen's attention.
Just a bit unusual with the date of issue.
Normally a passport's issued for 10 years. This one's been issued for a year.
It's just something we haven't seen before.
Captain, I have some concerns. See how on this passport here, you put your finger on here and see it is very smooth. You put your finger on this one, it is rough.
The officers have found an irregularity in a passport. Now they will perform a visual identification.
Captain, what we need to do, now we will do the face to passport. When we come to these crew, I just need to ask them a few questions about their passport. Thank you, Captain.
Over in customs, officers are taking a very close look at this passenger's bags. They want to pierce the hard outer shell of his suitcase and try to find out why the case is so heavy.
Put a gimlet in the bag, and what we've extracted is a white powder out of the concealment within the bag. So we'll just test that to find out what it may be. It has given a strong reaction to heroin, so it may predominantly be heroin. These are only presumptive tests. They'll do their forensic tests and they'll determine exactly what the powder is, whether it's a combination or whether it's a drug that's been cut with both cocaine, heroin, but we'll definitely find out. Yeah, it's quite a significant detection. Yeah, it's definitely a good hit for our shift.
So they got their man. Incredibly, the passenger attempted to conceal in his suitcase over 1 kilogram of heroin with a street value of over $750,000. He pleaded guilty to importing a prohibited item. He is yet to be sentenced. As the iron ore carrier is being filled with its cargo, customs officers have found inconsistencies in 3 of the crew's passports.
That's great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's great.
2 of the documents are given the okay, but Mike is still unsure of the 3rd.
Do you have any other form of identification?
Yeah. The majority of documents that we deal with are legitimate, but there are instances where we do detect documents that are either fraudulent in one aspect or another. Those crew members are dealt with accordingly.
With no money and very little clothing, Richard's plans for a cashless Australian adventure seem doubtful.
At this point of time, I'm not satisfied. I think he knows that if he says that he's going to work, that might go against him. So he's being really evasive, I feel.
Sunita is not buying into his romantic swagman yarn. She's convinced that he's here to work illegally.
Hi, Richard. Now, at this point of time, I'm not satisfied that you're a genuine tourist. The reason being, you do not have any plan or itinerary for your stay in Australia as a tourist. And you have admitted that you do not have any funds in cash or on credit cards available to you at present. Okay. At the end of the day, what I feel that you may be forced to work to even buy a ticket to return back to the US.
Once again, you haven't listened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to. I can go walk up to the United Airline ticket counter right now. I'm not going back to the United States.
You will be going back to the United States because that's where you came from.
Quarantine officers, with the help of detector dogs and X-ray scanning, are trained to uncover any food, animal or plant materials that could be a threat to Australia.
We've got a girl coming from Korea and she's got 2 bags of food with food in them, hasn't declared it. So we're going to check what she's got.
So this is not your bag?
No, this is my bag. This take to my sister hospital.
Pack.
Put me.
Do you know what's inside?
Maybe all their jumper.
Does everything belong to you or to your sister?
No, sushi for my sister, sushi for me.
Okay, no worries.
Shao has
I'll
just
check
come
this
back
bag.
from her annual
She
visit
checked
to
this
family
bag.
in Korea. She claims her sister's husband packed her bag.
What's that?
This one for tablets.
Okay, I have to check that one. I got no idea what this is. Have you ever seen this before?
No.
Excuse me? Can you tell me what this is?
Tablets. This one very
Yeah, but
good
this, it
for
doesn't look like tablet.
skinny. Very good for skinny, you know.
This looks like meat.
Meanwhile, at Melbourne Airport, Mr. Wei's return after a business trip to China hasn't gone quite as smoothly as he would have hoped.
Swiss. Very Swiss.
Got someone getting one of our clearing officers that'll be able to assess whether these are the genuine thing or not. So if they're genuine, he could be looking at some duty to pay. And if they're not, well, we might be taking some stuff off him.
This one,
Yes, thank you. I have got like a lot of Louis Vuitton. This gentleman's Australian resident residing overseas, and his wife and child reside here. Okay. In his bag's a lot of Louis Vuitton shoes, worn.
Yep.
He's got a lot of sunglasses. He's just brought in. We'll look and see if they're the real deal. If not, we'll look to have duty paid on some of these things.
Louis Vuitton products are manufactured to a very high standard, and you can tell by looking at a lot of their products which are fake and which are real usually by the stitching on Louis Vuitton products is very, very precise, because they only use one piece of stitching that goes right around the whole product. So anywhere you see a double stitch on a Louis Vuitton product, in many places you can tell that it's not a real product. So this has got double stitching here, double stitching here. It's also got double stitching on the bottom. And also Louis Vuitton don't line their bags. It's not suede lined. I mean, they don't suede line, but they don't put any lining inside their bags either, and they only make them in France, in Spain and the USA. So we can tell by looking, if it says made in Vietnam, then it's obvious. But if I had to make a guess, it probably wouldn't be real.
But are there enough to warrant seizing?
There's nothing here that I can see of a commercial nature. Seriously, really. I don't think there's any commercial.
If this is the way the guy travels, odds are he's going to take it all back home with him.
As for the watches and the shoes, Mr. Wei has receipts, but even those can be counterfeited.
We do actually have a list of places that make fake receipts that we gather over the years working here, which we know are fake. Oh, we've checked them out. That one I didn't have, but that's not to say that it wasn't a fake receipt, or the date had been doctored, or the certificate had been manufactured, so we can't tell. So we have to give the passengers the benefit of the doubt. So if Jeff's happy with that, then we don't proceed.
Penalties for importing counterfeit goods can include a $55,000 fine and 2 years in prison. As this passenger did not have a commercial quantity of counterfeit goods, he was allowed to go. In quarantine, officers are still trying to identify a suspicious package in Xiao's luggage.
Now with the lady here, she's declared food on her card, and she's told us that the food is in these 2 bags here. But this bag, your sister packed?
No, my sister, the husband.
Well, this lady, she's a regular traveller. For starters, you should know what's inside your bag. You should be packing it.
It's one of the golden rules of travel, but unfortunately, many people forget it.
What she's trying to tell us is she has no idea because the baggage was not packed by herself.
Having no idea is not a strong defence, especially if the item in question is highly prohibited.
Frog's fat.
Frog fat.
Frog fat. Okay? It is for boiling soup. It is a prohibited item.
That's right, it's frog fat, a highly sought-after anti-aging tonic in China. But cosmetic miracle or not, frog fat is an animal product, and it's not acceptable to bring it into this country. And if diseased, could have a devastating effect on Australia's rare and endangered frogs. Xiao's also carrying prohibited beef products.
She has never brought in this sort of prohibited items before. It was all because her relatives put something into the bag.
While today Xiao's been given the benefit of the doubt, the incident has been recorded, and if Xiao repeats the offence, officers won't hesitate to prosecute.
That's okay, I won't take it.
The frog fat and beef will be destroyed, and this time the passenger's allowed to go.
There's no way she's going to get them, and if it was her bag, she would have been quinned.
Serious quarantine offenders face fines of more than $60,000 and the possibility of a criminal record. Richards had 10 minutes to find a compelling story to convince immigration that he should be allowed to stay here. But he has no money, there's a concern about his welfare, and Sunita might not have a choice.
Okay, Richard, have you thought about anything to respond to me?
We've talked about everything about 3 times over now. Let's see here. Sounds like you already got your mind made up. You tell me. Do we have anything more to talk about?
When you're in a remote area, you depend on small portable equipment to help in decision making. If Mike is still unhappy, he will have to detain the crewmen and send their passports off to Perth for further investigation.
Yeah, so far none of the stitching looks like it's been tampered with, the security feature in it, I actually saw the security feature. Virtually all the stitching's tight, the UV parts are there. I think that it all matches up to the book, so I really have a feeling this is a legitimate document. And it was issued in 2000, Captain?
This is the issue date.
Yes. Yes, things are looking a little bit clearer now, Captain. Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. That's great. Thank you, sir.
While the crew and the ship were given the all clear to sail, these bulk carriers can provide hideaways for drugs and human cargo. Yet another way our border is protected.
There's your coffee, Richard.
Richard's moment of truth has arrived. He had a dream of exploring our country, but immigration believes he'll have to work to support himself.
If I had $1,000, I wouldn't be hassled right now, right? So let's go and I'll call up my friend, I'll say, hey, wire me in $1,000, right? And you say, oh, okay, there's your $1,000. And then I walk out the door and throw the $1,000 into the wind. Is that going to make you recall me back into here? I don't know. You know,
He can't even afford a bus ticket or even train ticket. So I'm not so sure how, if we let him in, how he'll be able to support himself outside. That's my concern. He will end up being a destitute. Okay, I have taken your comments into consideration, but at this point of time, I can't justify immigration clearing you. I feel that you may be forced to work to at least support yourself here. So if you can sign this for me, please.
can I refuse to sign this document?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a copy of that and the attachment.
You got a garbage can anywhere around here. So let's get the record straight. My intent is not to come here as a beggar and a vagabond. You know, the spirit of adventure must go on. The world's been conquered by man, machine, and money. Now let's kill it with kindness. Ladies first.
Thank you.
This is what the blues is all about. You know, when you try to make some plans and you find yourself getting diverted and it comes from the soul here.
Richard was sent home that afternoon. Tonight on Border Security, these passengers are good friends, so why did they separate at the border?
Is this the Big Bertha? Looks like the real McCoy.
Ever wondered what happens to seized items? You're about to find out.
I'm just going to give you a last chance. Any more food in the other bags?
And truckloads of food at quarantine.
Oh dear, that's food.
And it just keeps coming. Customs officers get to see a lot on their shift, and rarely are they shocked by what passengers have in their luggage.
How long were you overseas? 2 weeks, did you say? 2 weeks, yep.
Oh, this is the same, that one.
Okay. Yankee 1, Echo 15.
Yankee 1.
Yeah, Mick, we got more memorabilia here.
While searching the bag, Jeff has uncovered a secret stash of hardcore pornography.
Where did you purchase these CDs from, sir?
Oh, it's my friend.
Your friend?
Yes.
Did he give them to you?
Yes.
Where did he give them to you at?
Westman Way, Shanghai. Yes.
Shanghai?
Yes.
Yes. Did he give them to you as a gift?
Yes.
The passenger has a number of DVDs that may or may not be allowed to enter the country. At this present stage, one of my colleagues is just viewing the DVDs and he'll get back to me on the classification.
Yeah, Jeff. There's about 10 bestiality ones, mate. We've still got about another 20 or 30 to go through.
It's not illegal to bring sexually explicit material into the country. There are just limits to what is considered offensive, and this man may have crossed that line.
And pay attention to what I have to tell you now, sir, okay? I caution you that you do not have to say or do anything But anything you do say or do may be used as evidence. Do you understand what I just said? Yes. Okay, no worries.
At Sydney Airport, thousands of passengers will arrive before lunchtime. And two in particular are attracting a higher than normal degree of attention. Miss Lam and Miss Nguyen, two friends returning from Vietnam, are trying to make it look like they're strangers.
We've got two females here. They travel out together. They've come back in, split up, went through the immigration line separately, went to opposite ends of the carousel. So that in itself is a bit sus. There's a couple of other things we're not happy with.
Officers now need to find out what these two passengers are up to. It's never easy when a customs officer is rummaging through your dirty laundry. If they find something, it's their job to investigate.
A lot of pornography can be brought in legally. There's some that's illegal. And this gentleman's got quite a lot of CDs depicting a whole range of different things. Some are okay. At the moment, that one's okay. Out of about 50, the rest have been deemed to be offensive to the public. From the body language as you go through, you probably see non-consent as well, so that's out. I don't even need to look at the rest of it.
Michael has special training from the Office of Film and Literature Classification.
Well, yeah, it's not illegal to own a lot of porn. It's illegal to own this type of porn.
Bringing hardcore pornographic material across the border can result in a 10-year prison sentence and a $275,000 fine. Over in quarantine, it is Rita's morning patrol. She has just started her watch and is contending with a family who has brought in enough food to feed a small army.
And that's fish paste. And that's another fish.
You like your fish?
That's another fish.
It's another fish.
And dried fish.
Fish! Prawns. Is there any more fish left in the soup?
Although seafood poses no quarantine risk, not all of the family's food has been declared.
That's food.
No, this is dried flour.
Dried flour. And do you eat it? So it's food. Any more food here?
That's not medicine.
Oh dear. That's food.
Rita has had enough.
This is a legal document. Okay? You have declared food.
I did.
But when I ask what other food there is, you should show me the other food. Otherwise, you will be giving me a false declaration. In a sense, you're telling me, no, I don't have food in that bag, but yes, we do have food in the other bag. There would be a fine of $220 for false declaration. Okay? So, I'm just going to give you a last chance. Any more food in the other bags?
Meanwhile, over in customs, officers want to know more about the two women who have just returned from Vietnam. Miss Lam has been taken into an interview room for more detailed questioning. Although she resides permanently in Australia, she doesn't speak English fluently, so a telephone interpreter is being used.
Carol, where's she gone?
Do you know where your female friend is now?
Giờ chị biết cái cô bạn gái chị đang ở đâu không?
Không. Em không có nói chuyện với nó nữa.
So, do you know if she is back or still in Vietnam?
Biết cái cô đó là bây giờ là đã về đây chưa hay là vẫn còn ở Việt Nam?
Em không biết nữa. Bây giờ em không có nói chuyện đó mà em không thấy.
Interesting answers, especially considering officers know that Miss Nguyen is only standing about 10 metres away. Bringing in prohibited explicit material, which has been refused classification in Australia, can lead to fines of over $100,000.
We've classified all the information that Gemma had on all the discs. Some were unable to read, so we're going to hold those anyway. We'll be counting all these and itemising them to be seized and then referring it on to investigations branch.
What's happening?
Non-consent?
Yep.
Bestiality?
Yep.
And these unable to read, so we're going to take them anyway.
Oh, okay.
All those are okay?
Yep.
Took quite a while, but got through the whole lot.
Yep. Just been notified that the material that he's brought into Australia is pretty bad. So we're going to get a full picture on everything that he's brought in. We're going to get a full picture of the passenger himself. Come in here, and I'll go and get you a drink of water, OK? Just pull up a seat.
The passenger was questioned for several hours and was eventually allowed to go. The offensive DVDs were confiscated and destroyed.
448 BB gun.
Every few weeks, prohibited items like the pornographic DVDs seized by customs are catalogued, then incinerated.
Yep, that's correct. That's right.
Deadly knives and other weapons that enter through airports and mail centres around the country are just the beginning. You'd be amazed at what some people try to bring across the border.
This is what's called a trench knife.
If you wanted to wage a war, this would be a good place to start. BB guns like these are sold overseas as toys, but customs consider them anything but. Penalties for importing prohibited goods like these can be high, including fines of up to $250,000 and 10 years in jail.
I need to have a look at the other green bags because I need to make sure that you're not giving me a false declaration and you're positive there's no food in the other bags.
This is it. Rita is giving the family one last chance to declare any more food.
What's this?
Baby.
What is it?
Throw it away.
But what is it?
What is it?
Mango.
Mango.
Pogo.
I know. On the plane.
Throw those out.
Mango. That's food.
As the bags keep coming, so does the food.
That's not tea. Oh. That's food.
Back at the customs bond store, officers are still dealing with fakes.
They will copy Callaway golf clubs, for instance, and they go right down to minute detail.
Is this the Big Bertha?
Yeah, looks like the real McCoy. In this case, yes, it is a Great Big Bertha driver, and they have everything right except that the refinements of the club aren't there. A real club won't break like that. It just won't break like that. They'll bend. They'll bend.
Customs' job is to find these fakes before they make it onto Australian streets. But sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference between a fake and the real thing.
Gucci wallets. Gucci wallets. How many have we got?
35.
35? Yeah. Gucci wallets.
3 tons of catalogued goods later, and Customs' job is nearly finished. Next stop, the incinerator. Thai Airways Flight 991 has just arrived from Bangkok, carrying passengers from connecting flights across Asia.
This is your name and your signature?
Yes.
Do you understand the questions on the card?
Because I just...
Thak's been on holiday in Asia, staying with a friend.
Yes.
Alarm bells started ringing because the passenger's ticket purchase was unusual.
See, so your friend paid for this?
Huh?
Why did your friend buy the ticket and not yourself?
Huh?
Why did your friend
Thak's had a
pay for
short
this
stopover in Bangkok on his way from Vietnam, a popular route for drug couriers, and Customs wants to know more about the friend he says bought his ticket.
Birth date?
Birthday, I didn't know where his birthday.
When's his birthday?
I don't know where his birthday.
You don't know?
I just tell you what.
How old
where
is he?
live. Huh?
How old?
43 something.
While the passenger is being questioned, officers are checking one particular item he's brought in. It looks like a picture, but those orange areas on the X-ray indicate possible organic material. Not what you'd expect inside an artwork.
There is powder in there just to try to move it around a little bit, see if the image changes in shape.
So officers open it to get a better look. It contains 4 cheaply made pictures.
There's no visible signs of being tampered with.
Customs officers are used to the devious methods of concealment used by drug smugglers.
They're pretty clever though when they make them, that they can make it look new. We're getting that same division. Might have to drill it, see if there's anything inside it.
Before drilling the pictures, they do a drug swab. In Customs, officers are questioning 2 passengers from Vietnam. Their behaviour getting off the flight was suspicious, and now their stories aren't matching up.
This one has finally admitted she's travelled with this passenger. This one is still denying full knowledge.
Customs officers have more than enough grounds to conduct a frisk search of Miss Nguyen.
What we'd like to do is to pat you down, okay? All right, not going to go over any skin or anything like that. Not removing any clothing, okay?
Both of them are wearing very tight clothing, so it could be just simply if there's anything around the ankles or anything like that.
Into a room.
The passenger has elected to have the frisk conducted in a private room. It's nearly the end of the line for the prohibited items that Customs has seized at airports and mail centres around the country.
Okay, as you can see, we've got the goods that we've loaded in at Customs store. We've got weapons, we've got medicines, we've got blowpipes, we've got Louis Vuitton bags. We've got a multitude of items going for destruction today.
This will also end the myth about the customs officers take all these things home. Seeing this being destroyed today, and me as a witness with 34 years experience, I'm not going to lose my job over one DVD or a Louis Vuitton bag. I'm here to see it destroyed, and that's what's going to happen today.
Every year, Customs seizes hundreds of thousands of prohibited items. Most of these are destroyed. Meanwhile, a frisk search by a female officer on the passengers returning from Vietnam has turned up empty. But that doesn't mean officers are finished with their investigations just yet.
We think the purpose of a visit is not just plain a visit to family. There's some other reason, so that's the only thing we can think of is drugs. And because we didn't find anything in the bags, now the only other thing left is searching her body and then probably even internal.
An internal concealment is nothing new to Customs, and there are some signs they can look out for.
Looks like she's burping and coughing a bit. If you swallowed something, say it's wrapped up in something, even plastic, or these days they use condoms or whatever, and then sometimes your body reacts and it wants to throw it out.
And while Miss Lamb isn't displaying any of these signs, there's also the possibility that she may be what's known in the trade as an overseer.
They'll stay clear of the actual drug courier, but they will watch them to make sure and see they get through all right, and then they'll go outside, and if they get through okay, they'll just meet up with them somewhere else. If they don't get through, then they'll tell whoever's organising it, or if they're organising it, they'll just keep going, they'll just leave them behind.
Over in quarantine, Rita is still finding food inside various bags belonging to the family.
But when you actually try sort of to conceal it and not tell me that I've only got food in that, oh, I'm not too sure, or whatever. You packed your bags, so you must know. Virtually, you had food in every bag. Hey? Any more food do you think that you have? I mean, I've checked every bag except that box. Do you have food in that box?
Tiger balm.
Yep, that's fine. Geez, that's the only box that we didn't find any food in there. How did you miss that? Nothing, right? Every bag you had food, and you've only showed me the 2 bags, and when I asked, like, all you have to do is just be honest with us. And they're all food that you could have. Do you know what I mean? This is a legal document. You signed it to say yes, and when I ask you the verbal questions, you must tell me, this is what I have in those bags. Okay?
Thank you.
If the family fails to declare items of quarantine concern next time they arrive in Australia, they could be prosecuted and fined more than $60,000. While over in Customs...
When I x-ray it, seems to be something inside it.
Thack says he bought the pictures in Saigon for a friend here. But an X-ray and a trace particle test suggest there may be drugs packed inside.
I still have some concerns about those prints.
Pardon?
Those prints?
Yeah.
Who are they for?
Huh?
Who are they for?
Louis.
Lewis?
Yeah, Louis.
Lewis. How do you know Lewis?
It's my friend long time, my boss.
You mind if I put a drill hole in the back here?
Yeah,
How about a drill somewhere there? Okay, just make a little drill hole and see if there's anything in there.
Officers are determined to find out what's inside those pictures. Back in customs, Jeff and Lee are getting a closer look inside Thak's suspect pictures.
When we swabbed it before, we got results for ephedrine. Ephedrine is evident in cold flu tablets, and they also use it for the manufacture of ecstasy. Apart from seeing the segments in the wood, his whole demeanour is he's very nervous. He's clenching his fist a lot.
Lee also does a chemical narcotics test.
Shouldn't be any colour produced there. If I break the right hand pill now, if there's anything in there, it should go a bluey colour. There's nothing there.
After drilling the suspect pictures and doing more drug tests, it seems these items are only made up of chipboard.
Well, we've got readings, we've got really good readings, and we've drilled it, we've checked it, there's absolutely nothing in the picture. So we've still got those drug readings, so I think we're going to need to do a body search. Just a frisk, just to see if he's got anything on his body. I've got some concerns.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to see if you're carrying anything on your body.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
If you could have a read of one of these two cards.
Take everything out of your pockets, place everything out of your pockets onto the barrier.
He's got business cards in there, but most of the cards with writing on them are extra.
They sometimes can stick small layers of narcotics in the layers of the shoe, underneath the soles of the shoes. So by X-raying, you get an idea of whether there's anything there or not, and it appears there isn't.
Thanks, mate. We'll just pack it up for you so it doesn't break. You're free to go.
Despite drug readings on his belongings, Thak is allowed to go home.
We were pretty sure that there was something in those pictures. As it turns out, there wasn't.
Let's do it.
In another part of customs, officers have had a breakthrough.
This one's only just coming around with a story about a package. She couldn't afford the trip. She saved up and managed to afford the trip but couldn't pay for the bags. Then she was told if she carried a package through for somebody else, they'd pay for her baggage.
All her bags have been searched and she's been frisked. So if she is carrying something illegal, there's only one place it could be.
We've got the Australian Federal Police on station and we've advised them we'd like to send somebody for an internal. So they've arrived and they're looking at, we've done statements up for them, so all the facts are there. They're reading over the statements, we're presenting everything to them, and if they're happy, if they agree with what we've presented, they'll take them to the hospital where a doctor will perform the internal, which is usually either a CAT scan or an X-ray or both. And then they'll take it further if they find anything.
A passenger must give consent before an internal exam can be conducted, and both passengers have done this. To customs, this doesn't indicate anything.
It doesn't indicate at all. We've had people that have been loaded that are just happy, yeah, quick, I'll sign up. And yet maybe they think they'll bluff us by saying, yes, I'm ready to sign up. I'll sign up now, let's go. They're keen, let's get out the door and let's go to the hospital.
At the hospital, both women were found to have swallowed packages of heroin with a combined weight of 220 grams. The street value of these drugs could be as much as $143,000. Miss Lamb was sentenced to 5 years and Miss Nguyen was sentenced to 5 years and 9 months. Security. Drug runners or illegal workers. Either way, there's trouble brewing.
Now, we called Kingsgate Hotel. You don't have a reservation there.
Will love conquer all, or will this Romeo have to go?
If he abides by the law, then I have to go.
Why am I being treated as a terrorist or a drug smuggler or trafficker?
And why is this man demanding to be searched? Before you even touch down on Australian soil, Customs will know a few things about you. They'll know who you are, where you are coming from, and when you bought your ticket. And while that might not seem like a lot of information to you or me, it's a goldmine for Customs. And more than enough to start an investigation. Mr. Loon and Mr. Chong have just got off a flight from Malaysia. While all other passengers on their flight have cleared immigration and customs, their ticketing and travel details have raised a flag.
They're coming here for a short stay. They don't know what they're going to do here. The younger looking guy, he's very nervous, he's shaking a lot. And yeah, we're just trying to ascertain whether we think that they might have drugs with them or whether they're an immigration risk.
Either way, these two aren't going anywhere quickly. If you were travelling halfway across the world for 3 months, how much money would you bring? Brian from Texas only has $200, and that's attracted immigration's interest.
Lost his job about a week ago. He's only been working there for 3 months as a plant operator. He's got no debit cards, no credit cards. He's met this girl, what I have heard from Customs is about a couple of weeks ago. She is a Vietnamese exchange student.
Brian says he's fallen head over heels with a woman he met on the internet. He's never seen her in person before, and whether he will today is up to Ken in immigration.
Brian, is it? Yeah, come in, Brian. Whatever. Word with you. There's a teddy bear for you. Is that for your girlfriend?
Yes, sir.
Just leave him there. Just come in the office here. Teddy will be okay. Just come in here, Brian.
So is Brian looking for love down under, or is he here for some other reason? That's what Ken needs to find out.
I'm going to ask you a number of questions that you must answer truthfully.
Yep.
The penalty for an offence against Section 234 of the Migration Act is 10 years imprisonment. Now, do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just received a call from the customs duty manager. He's reported a live bird flying around the customs clearance area. We have a bit of a concern with live birds, purely for the reason of the avian influenza risk and also a Newcastle disease risk. They're both diseases of birds and poultry. I have a feeling that this bird is a domestic bird. We've been told it's flown in from outside, so that risk is lower. But we still need to try and catch it and remove it from the sterile area. I can actually see it right now, over. There's the elusive little pest. I feel a quote coming on, but I can't say it. An Elmer Fudd quote. He's pretty elusive.
Quarantine officers at Sydney Airport are used to dealing with high-flying problems. What they're seeing today is one of a kind.
All in a day's work.
I have a relationship with my friend. I met her through the internet.
Over in immigration, Officer Ken is trying to work out Brian's reasons for coming to Australia.
Your girlfriend, let's call her Aunt. What do you call her?
Hania.
Hania.
Nickname.
Or honey.
Pet names.
Yeah, okay.
Or Go Muay Tiger. That's our
what?
Pet. Go Muay Tiger. That means 10 tiger lady. that's just my nickname to her.
Okay.
If Brian's only here for love, he's packed some unusual items.
Information so far we've got is his forms in regards to his citizenship in America, his graduation certificate. He's got no details of where he's going to go, what he's going to do, or anything like that.
Noticed in some of your paperwork there you brought a work resume with you. Why did you bring that with you?
I was looking into maybe coming here to work and live, but that's if the relationship continued. That was on my mind.
Something in here about a Mr. Red. Who's Mr. Red?
That's the teddy bear outside. I gave him a nickname.
You know the conditions of a visitor's visa, don't you?
Yes, sir.
The main reason on a tourist visa is that you don't work.
Yes, sir. No working, yes.
You understand that?
Yes, sir. No working, yes. That's what I told her. I said, I can't work or anything, so how are you going to support me?
It's a hard decision for us to make here, but you must understand our position. Like I said, you've come here with a minimum amount of cash. You should have enough money to support yourself for 3 months, which is, well,
but
you can work that out.
$200 won't get Brian past day one in Sydney, and relying on his cyber girlfriend for the rest of his stay is a big call.
I think you're coming here to work.
He's just above that foreign exchange sign right now, so I might have to flush him out.
Back in quarantine, the airport's unauthorised visitor is proving difficult to catch.
Damn.
Time to call in reinforcements.
What I'd like to do is I'll get you to move up that end of the hall and then work your way back, and I'll start from this end of the hall and work our way in the middle and see if we can flush it out. It is getting tired, so I've chased it a fair amount already.
Alrighty then, well let's see how we go then.
All right.
Okay.
Every day, as many as 11,000 passengers arrive in Australia via Sydney Airport. Many of these passengers will be approached by customs and questioned about their travel. Most people don't mind. Some mind a lot.
You know, why is it I always get singled out? Because I'm black? Because I'm from West Africa?
Jim from Customs is actually satisfied that Roberto poses no threat. Just for a change, though, this passenger wants his bags to be searched.
No, I want to be searched, because then I can say, harassment. 7 times! 7 times in 8 years!
Did you get spoken to?
7 times in 8 years!
So if you come here...
I've been coming here for 8 years, yeah, and this is the 7th time I have come here. I've only come to Australia 7 times, and 7 times guys like you come and harass me. 7 times! There's not one time where I've been able to go through like anyone else. Now, if you want to do it, let's do it. But tell me who your boss is, because I'm really angry now. I've had a 31-hour flight.
No, that's all right.
I think you're coming here to work.
No. If I was...
You had to think about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
With only $200 in his pocket and a vague promise of support from a woman he met online, Ken's doubting Brian's motives for coming to Australia.
You've got no incentive to go back to the United States?
I have very much incentive. At least there I'm at home. That's my home turf. Here, I already told her I don't have enough money. I only have enough for the plane ticket. So if I get there, you have to deal with the rest of the other part. You have to deal with me for 3 months. And will you deal with that part? And that's, she said, she agreed to it. And that was what she said. So if she still doesn't agree with that, then I have no reason to be here.
While Brian pleads his case to Ken, immigration manager Sarul calls his cyber love to check out his story.
And I said, are you going to be supporting him? She said, well, I don't know. So his expectations of her is much more than what she's telling me.
It's looking very much like we may consider cancelling your visa. Do you understand the implications of that?
No, sir.
Back in Sydney, Roberto's anger has reached boiling point.
No, 7 times I've been kept passports, I've been asked where I'm from. Then
So
I've been told, the last 3 times I've been told that people from where I'm from in the world are troublemakers. You get a lot of hassle. I've been told that. Why should I accept that? Why should I accept being labelled?
At this point, Roberto spots the border security cameras.
I'll tell you the story. I've come here 7 times in 8 years. My wife is Australian. I always come here for 3 weeks or a month. I resent being told every time I come here that we get a lot of hassle from people from West African origin. I am a British citizen. Yes, I was born in West Africa. Why should I be harassed by folks like that every time I come to Australia? Shame on you, Australia.
So what will you do in Australia now for 7 days?
Oh, no, today. Go hotel, sleep.
Go to hotel and sleep? Is this your friend's first time to Australia as well?
Mr. Loon and Mr. Chong have told Customs they're businessmen here for a week's vacation. as customs digs deeper, this story is becoming more and more unlikely.
Bank account?
Yeah.
Your bank account?
No,
or
family.
Family bank account details, yes?
Small details tell customs a great deal about a passenger.
My guy's got about $1,000 in cash. He's got no credit cards or anything, but he does have the bank account details of the family in Penang.
Limited funds and information about an overseas bank account may be indicators that a person intends to work here illegally and send the money they earn overseas. Officers also need to be sure these two men aren't carrying drugs.
Is there any way I can plead my case? To stay here?
In Sydney, Ken's still deciding whether to let Brian into the country.
Ask away.
For the time frame of 3 months of what I do to be here, then it's just to spend my time with her. She'll be going to work and I'll be staying home, wherever she has set up the place for me to stay.
In order to gather as much information as possible, Ken will talk to the woman Brian has come to meet.
Are you and Brian girlfriend and boyfriend? Did you ask him to come to Australia?
No, I asked him if he wants to travel to see Sydney.
He really wants to see you.
Sorry. I don't know what happened.
So you'd look after him while he's here.
But he doesn't know anyone else.
You want him to come in here, don't you? You want to see him, don't you? Yeah.
I'm waiting for his decision and I'm trying to prepare myself if he says I got to go home. I'm thinking, please don't let me see her. So if they let me see her, then I'll probably even miss her more. So better just not let me see her.
Meanwhile, over in quarantine, officers Andrew and Cecilia are still chasing a lost bird. At this stage, they're not sure where the bird has come from. If it's stowed away on an incoming aircraft, the concern is that it might be carrying diseases into Australia.
I think I can see it under there.
Keep him into that alcove. Keep him into that alcove. Oh. Almost got him.
You see it anyway?
It's over there. Oh, beauty. Yeah, put him in there, lock the door. Come on, little fella. Out you come. That's better. Nice and warm. Yeah, he's obviously flown in from outside. It's been trapped in the terminal because it's only a couple of points of entry, and because he's obviously a domestic bird, we'll look at letting him go. Look, ultimately, if there was any suspicion that this bird was of a quarantine concern, we would be obviously holding it for identification purposes. But like this is a common sparrow. It is obviously been caught up in the terminal for quite a while, so we're just going to look at releasing it. Okay. Off you go, little fella. It's good to get a happy end of the story, and it just makes all the effort worthwhile. You don't like to see animals caged up at the best of times, so we're happy with the outcome.
We're just having a gentleman frisked, conducting a frisk search to make sure that he hasn't got anything concealed on his body. We're just a little bit worried that he may be carrying narcotics somewhere on his body. Okay, and now your other one? Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
No narcotics on Mr. Chong, but Mr. Loon has indicated he would rather be frisked in a private room.
This officer is going to do the frisk, okay?
So everything's ready to go?
Everything's ready to go. Lucia's out here if you need her, okay? Well, at the moment, they don't appear to have anything on them. Well, we'll see obviously once his frisk is done. So the only other place that it could be was inside their stomach. The other guy said he hasn't eaten anything since he's got on the plane, so that's another sign. But we'll ascertain whether we decide to refer him, and then we'll call the Federal Police and see if they're interested in having a further chat to them.
Back in Sydney, Roberto is trying to make a point about the way he feels customs do their job.
I've asked the gentleman and his wife, was I rude to them?
He hasn't been rude. He hasn't been rude. It's not about this man here.
Okay.
It's not about. It's about your institution now.
Okay.
It's institutionally racist against people like me. Not about you. Not about you. It's about the system.
So
look out for people from West Africa. People from West Africa happen to have one thing in common. They're all black.
We're getting a form called complaints and compliments. On that
last time I was given that form, I asked someone in your position, I said, if I fill that out, what will happen? And he turned around to me and said, probably nothing.
For me, I would never say that.
And I said, there you go, wasting my time again.
Something does happen. Look, I can't say for what his thought processes were, but something does happen. It's immediately referred to a specific complaints area that have to respond to you within a given time, in response to what you say.
Are they going to stop this wanton targeting of me every time I step on your fair island?
At Sydney Airport, Roberto and his wife are finally moving on. They're still not happy with the way they've been treated by customs.
Did you get all that? Thank you. It needs to change. This country cannot carry on like this with black people like me. Otherwise, we won't come anymore. It's not even as if I'm coming here on a Nigerian passport. I can't. Look, that's a lion, This country gave birth to this one, So therefore, I come from a safe Western democracy, Why am I being treated as a terrorist or a drug smuggler or trafficker or criminal?
I feel very embarrassed to be Australian.
As far as Jim is concerned, though, it's just another day.
You don't worry about it. I mean, if you worry about everybody abusing you in this job, you would have quit years ago. You just cope with it, You know you're not like that. I just get a bit miffed because you tend to find people who are, say, of African descent or African American throw this that you're a racist at them all the time. And you're not. He just made a rod for himself. It was just like he was just making a big show. I don't know whether for her or just for his own benefit,
If you don't mind, excuse me, I've got to go and calm down, hire a car and go and enjoy my holiday.
Now, we called Kingsgate Hotel. You don't have a reservation there. You don't have a booking.
Booking?
Yeah, at Kingsgate Hotel.
Have.
No.
Yeah?
No, they say you don't.
Back in Melbourne, the frisk on Mr. Loon came up negative. But a detailed examination of their ticketing has revealed some interesting facts and a wider problem than first thought.
We linked them to two other people off the flight that are also with immigration. So it looks like we've missed the drugs and we've stopped a couple of people from coming into the country illegally to work.
In the end, it came down to good investigative work and finding the discrepancies in their stories.
First of all, they stated they had a booking at the Kingsgate Hotel, and we called the hotel and there was no booking there. Okay, and then secondly, we split the two passengers up so we could get different stories from them, and there were holes in the stories. One said they know each other from working in the construction industry, one said knowing each other from the gold jewellery design industry, so there were a few holes there. And also they said they didn't know each other or the other two passengers. There was a group of 4 of them. Comparing their tickets, we found that all 4 were actually linked. We look at all sorts of documents. We go through everything, find tooth comb, we'll find it. If the documents are there, indicators are there, we'll find them.
Investigations showed that these men were here to work illegally. For falsely declaring their intentions, both men were sent back home. The men are subject to a 3-year exclusion period from re-entering Australia.
Well, I've spoken to the girl at the front and she's expecting him and she's willing to support him. Look, I tend to believe her story. She got a little bit upset, which seems to me that there is some sort of a emotional attachment with this guy.
If he abides by the law, then I have to go. But if he abides by compassion and understanding, then he will let me stay. I think that's the bottom line of that situation.
I've just spoken to the manager. We've made a decision. Okay? And our decision is that we're going to let you in here. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Brian and Mr. Red's immediate future is settled. They're officially here for a holiday.
I'm very excited. I may not show it, but I am. A little bit scared, but I think I'll be all right.
As for any long-term romance, it seems that is completely up to fate.
Okay, that's it. Next case. Here we go.